Support WrestleTalk!
WrestleMania 41 is this weekend, and after the Raw Go Home episode, maybe we should rename it Wrestle Mid-Ear. Not Midian, not Wrestle Midian, but Wrestle Mid.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm saying it's an average build so far.
Yeah, you were saying earlier, Wrestle Midian sounds like a challenge.
Yes, Wrestle Midian. 41.
And tonight you will wrestle Midian because it is Sunday Night Heat.
Yeah. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen, DAD. Welcome to the WrestleTalk podcast, which, yes, had severe technical issues. This isn't a live stream show. Luke, I can feel the heat radiating off him. I was trying to cheer him up when he was stressing over the machine.
It's just, man.
It didn't work.
Slobs. So we use Streamlabs OBS to stream because we were using OBS and then OBS stopped working properly. So we were like, okay, let's move over to Streamlabs OBS. We moved over to that and now that is stopping working. We're looking like we're going to have to move back to OBS to do the streaming because OBS now works properly. But I couldn't get the camera to work. It wouldn't register that the camera was plugged in. It would do, then it wouldn't do, then it would do, then it would do, but freeze. And then eventually I got the camera working, but in the process of getting the camera working, the audio stopped working.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get the audio to turn on at all. I switched it over to OBS, and it works first time on all devices. So the audio worked fine, and the video worked fine. So it was purely all Streamlabs.
Yeah. Well, I hope, better happen now rather than all the live streams we're doing this weekend.
It does, but I'm going to have to get our producers to come in and switch everything over and put it on OBS because I'm not using Streamlabs this weekend.
If you haven't already, please press the thumbs up button, give us a subscribe, and leave a comment down below with what you thought of this Go Home episode. Before we get into... We won't really talk about a specific segment to open this episode. What we'll do is just give our sort of thoughts on the WrestleMania 41 build so far and this Go Home episode, which, like back in the day, we'd have Go Home episodes of WrestleMania and we'd just be like, what the hell was that? That was actively bad. And this isn't actively bad. It's just, it's not Vince McMahon booking nonsense 6 days out from the pay-per-view. It's just incredibly safe. All the angles have already been done. A lot of video packages, a lot of matches with lower card talent, losing to people who are on the WrestleMania card in, again, very safe matches. Just felt a bit uninspiring.
It was an uninspiring episode. Like the promos are good. Like I thought the promo segment at the end was good. I thought that Gunther's promo was good. I thought that Jay's promo was good. I thought the 3 video package we got for the women's triple threat was good. But none of them were saying anything new. And I think that's what was missing from this episode. Like particularly in the Jay and Gunther thing, I guess last week's was the go home angle. You know what I mean? And so it was like, so this week, well, we still need to have them on the show to make it look like we're doing a go home angle, but they don't say anything new of substance. We kind of got all the meat of it last week. And in the main event angle, while it was good, there was kind of nothing new in there. I suppose the newest wrinkle, which I thought was quite good, was Seth saying, Heyman, a favor is a choice. And wasn't a favor, he just chose to side with Punk over you. But again, it's not like that's brand new information. We've been sort of talking about that since Heyman sided with Punk. And then they did the Shield chair shot angle, which is, visually interesting, but it adds nothing new to the dynamic of this feud.
Yeah, it's a nice spot to do maybe last week. Maybe the week before that, but not in the Go Home episode. And particularly because Triple H these days, in my GM mode in 2K25, he'll send you a crappy email about how all the Go Home shows really important. The Go Home shows are like 5-match long pay-per-view level cards that you put on and you save your very best match for the one slot on the pay-per-view.
Here's what I was say for the ending segments, because I think there are arguments to be made that it did further along some other things, because I'm sort of playing it back in my head. You had Seth be like, I went to attack Paul Heyman last week and I didn't, and I said you owe me a favor, and he's not going to act on that favor because he doesn't actually give favors out to people. He's just choosing to do things. So sort of playing that manipulator role. However, what the segment needed, considering this is the go-home segment for the Night 1 Mania main event, is the killer line. The killer line that makes everyone go like, oh, or the killer moment that makes everyone go like, oh. Instead, it was just the guy who's not going to win stood tall.
Well, I mean, I don't know if this is the best angle to do. Should we just talk about the main event segment, actually?
But it was the most interesting thing on the show by leaps and bounds.
Just to recap, everything else that happened on this episode was Gunther doing a promo, Bayley beating Liv Morgan, Rey Mysterio beating Julius Creed, AJ Styles beating Karrion Kross, Jey Uso cutting a promo, Penta and Balor having a no contest, and then this promo segment.
2.5 hours.
That is a nothing episode. On a normal week.
Yeah.
This is the go-home show for WrestleMania.
But we have been saying since Triple H took over the book, he doesn't do go-home shows. He's and never at any point in his creative run has he done a go-home episode of Raw.
Then why does he book 4 weeks of TV like there's gonna be a go-home episode, and then he just blue balls you?
Maybe this is just what his creative style is.
Or maybe it's Blue Ball SmackDown.
And
it's the blue brand.
Because the big attraction for WrestleMania 41 this year is Cena versus Cody. So if you don't have Cena versus Cody featured on your show, then it is going to feel like there's not a whole lot going on, because this is the thing that everyone's interested in. And that is thankfully happening on SmackDown. Last week we were talking about how we figured the angle we got at the O2 was the go-home angle. And then just after we recorded that episode, the day after, Cena was announced for that go-home SmackDown. So hopefully something big is going to happen on this Friday SmackDown that'll make people go like, wow, well, we got that on night 2.
If you just take Raw in isolation, I guess you had Gunther and Jey Uso. They're on the show. They're in big matches. Well, a big match opener. Yeah, you had Roman, Seth, and CM Punk. Yeah, they're all big. But yeah, Cody Rhodes, John Cena, they're not there. Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, the biggest match. They're just in pre-recorded bits. They're not on the show.
There's nothing else you can do with that story, I guess.
They pace out the build better.
Well, no, they shot their one angle, then did that one angle 4 times over.
The Wrestling Observer Radio was saying they can't remember the last time where the proper main event of WrestleMania were not on the go-home WrestleMania episode. Neither Cody Rhodes or John Cena were on this show at all. Not even in a video promo form.
Yeah, there wasn't. I was surprised there wasn't like even a big video for it. But I guess it is. They're just saving it for SmackDown. And there is, a good argument to be made that you should save this for SmackDown, because SmackDown can now have a big angle that sets up the main event night 2, and Raw closed with, the 3 stars of the night 1 main event. But my counter to that is they did not do a big angle. And really, when you think back to what everyone thought we could get from Roman, Seth, and Punk, they've not done any of it.
Yeah. Well, and when we go back to Elimination Chamber, the day after that, oh my God, all the stuff you can do with Cena and Cody and The Rock. But The Rock's not going to be here.
Yeah. It's not been... I think we kind of got a little bit spoiled last year with the build for WrestleMania 40. And I think that set expectations far too high going in for 41. And I don't feel the WWE even tried to reach them. Like they knew the expectations were so high. They were like, well, we're never going to reach that. Yeah. So we'll just do what we were going to do.
So this main event segment was really nice. It was a really neat, well sort of plotted out drama points. It was a good segment. Just saying. It's nowhere near good enough to be a go-home segment. But what happened was Paul Heyman for the entire night is waiting for Roman Reigns to arrive. He hasn't seen him since he revealed, actually, I'm going to stand in Punk's corner for WrestleMania. Roman arrives, and he just so happens to arrive at the exact same time that CM Punk sits next to Paul Heyman to say, hey, man, you look stressed. Hey, look into my eyes. What do you see? And Paul Heyman goes, code of personality? No, a friend. It was a fun little interaction.
It was nice because like the whole show had been built around that Paul was waiting for Roman to arrive, and then he, Punk sits there, puts his arm around him, is like, "We're friends," and they start to laugh together. And it's just as Roman arrives, and Roman's literally like, "Son of a."
That's Punk being a dick. It's CM prick.
And Roman being the jealous boyfriend, being like, I am not happy about this at all. So he storms out to the ring. Like, Paul is in tow with him for Roman's entrance, and he's handing Roman the microphone, but Roman doesn't take it. Instead, he goes and gets his own microphone to ask if Sacramento acknowledges him.
Talking of jealous boyfriends, did you see the sign right in the middle of the hard cam? I will dump my husband for Roman.
Yeah. I'd imagine that person there is, if it was a she, is not alone. I'd imagine that there are a lot of people who find Roman Reigns very attractive and would leave their spouses for just a little taste of that tribal chief sweat.
Wet hair.
That wet hair.
That would break my heart. Even in a jovial sense, if my partner said, I will leave Ollie for, I don't know, Ryan Gosling. I think he's probably the number one.
Yeah.
I just don't want. We both know that would probably happen, but I don't think make a sign out of it and put it on Netflix.
No, but a woman once picked World of Warcraft over dating me. So I've hit rock bottom before.
But did she make a sign out of it?
No, she just told me, I've got you, World of Warcraft, my family, and university, and one of them has got to give. And it was me.
Yeah.
So I already know what the bottom feels like. So if my wife was just like, I'm leaving you for Roman Reigns, you'd be like, well, there's another one. Another person who chose something actively better than me to go off and do that thing instead.
Things come up Luke again. Right, so Roman tells Sacramento to acknowledge him, and he gets right near Heyman's face, and he says, well, Sacramento have acknowledged me. What about you, my wise man? Why would you betray me? And the crowd start to chant, you effed up. And Heyman says, this isn't a betrayal. I'm paying back a favor that I owed. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good point. And then Roman says, yeah, but favors are something you pay back. Why do I have the burden of this cost? Like, you're not in my corner. I thought that's a pretty good reply.
It is, yeah.
And that's what one of the best things about Triple H's booking, I think. It's that you can really understand all sides of certain arguments in feuds.
Yeah, particularly in a story like this where every character does, particularly, I think Seth is the one who has benefited a lot in this feud because he's moved out from being one-dimensional Seth and now feels like a full-fledged character again who's got motivations and wants and needs and desires, and he's kind of tapping back more into that architect manipulator role. I think he's benefited from this massively, and Roman feels a lot more fleshed out now because the wise man isn't just some guy in his corner. Like he actually means something to Roman as a person. And Punk is, he's CM Punk, and I think he generally does love Paul as a friend. And to him, this is just like, no, this is just a transactional favor, but to Roman, it's something very different.
Yeah. Roman says he doesn't owe anyone anything. I'm like, well, he did help you in War Games, though. But yeah, Seth comes down, he interrupts, and he does the manipulation stuff that you just talked about. A lot of people have also pointed out how he really lent into his Shield gear as inspiration for his attire.
He sure did.
I don't see it.
What are you talking about? It looks like a flak jacket, and he's got
like a black leather vest. That's all it was.
but with pockets that make it look like it's a flak jacket.
I didn't see the pocket bits.
And he's got like combats that have got like.
He's got big fluffy boots on.
Well, yeah, but he's still Seth Rollins. He's still a bellend. It's just that he dresses like a tit.
Yeah.
But it was a Shield inspired tit.
Yeah. Okay. And he does some. Pro wrestling is all about what you can convince the audience to believe. I just think he might have jumped the shark because he said the three-way is the most important match because the winner will define the future of this industry.
Do you know why I don't mind it? Do you know why I don't mind this line? It's pro wrestling nonsense, right? Like, this is just pro wrestling hyperbole. This is the biggest and most important triple threat in the history of WrestleMania. The reason why I don't mind it, it's because I genuinely believe that Seth Rollins believes that that is true.
That's a good point.
WWE are not marketing this as the biggest and best and most important triple threat in the history of WrestleMania.
We've got 4 days.
But Seth Rollins truly believes that this is the most important match in the history of WWE. This is more important than the championship, because he lays out it's like, whoever wins this match is going to be the person that leads this locker room. It can't be you, Roman. You're never here. It can't be Punk, because he's the guy that leaves a company and then comes back 10 years later to leech off the hard work and success that the others have made for themselves. So it has to be me. I have to step up again and be the face of this company and lead it into the next era. So I don't mind it. I think he truly believes it.
You've won me over a bit there.
I also think that Seth as a person believes it.
I do. You've won me over, actually. That is a good reasoning. I do still think this match desperately needs stakes.
Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why they can't just say, yeah, you'll be a number 1 contender. Or you'll get the shot at Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
If Punk's the winner, and then that's 2 pay-per-views time.
I mean, maybe that sort of like telegraphs it a little bit too much, but I do think that this does, particularly as this is the main event, it does need some form of stakes to it. Because I remember when this match first got like reported back in January that the direction was a triple threat, I remember thinking like, well, there's got to be something to it. You can't just have a match, just a triple threat match. But here we are. We're just having a triple threat match with 3 of the biggest stars, and arguably this is a way bigger storyline than anything else on night 1.
Well, especially when it defines the future of this industry. And Seth says in the more manipulative angle, the one piece Roman hasn't figured out though is that Paul is in Punk's corner by choice. Like, I was going to stomp on his head last week, and he could owe me a favor, but I know he's not going to pay that favor back, which is nice because that's what we sort of said last week. Like, why did he do that?
Yeah.
And it's because he's doing this deeper level of mind games.
He did it to make a point.
Yeah.
He doesn't actually want a favor. He wants to show that Paul will never pay a favor back to him.
Paul technically owes me a favor right now. He's choosing not to do that. However, Punk is choosing Punk. It's a choice. And that's when Roman stepped towards Seth. And it looked like they were standing shoulder to shoulder against Paul. And Roman said, well, that's why I've made my choice. And it looks like he's going to side with Seth for this one night. But no, he beats up Seth, and then he pushes Paul Heyman to the ground. This brings Punk running down. They brawl, and then in the end, Seth hits Roman in the back with the steel chair. The shield chair.
As Michael Cole called it.
So, yeah, all very, neat and good stuff there. But was it really interesting? Or was it a big cliffhanger for Saturday? Was it something new that we haven't seen? Not really. So I feel like the most interesting thing they had here was Roman siding with Seth. And then you're like, wait, so Punk is at a severe disadvantage. He is the most babyface character of this 3-way. So then you've got 2 heels going against the babyface, but the babyface has Paul in the corner. That's a nice bit of psychology.
I think this is a good angle 2 weeks out from Mania.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 weeks out from Mania. It is not a good go-home angle for WrestleMania. So a good angle, and a very well done. I really enjoyed it. But it is not the final image of Raw before the biggest show of the year. No. It's not the final show of the biggest television show you have leading into your biggest pay-per-view of the year. It's good. It's just not great. And I still find it baffling, but also unsurprising that they did not even go in on the Punk brought the shield up and Roman was like, you didn't even want me to be part of the group.
Yes.
You wanted some other guy, but look at me. I'm now the biggest success than you'll ever be. There's so much left on the table for this 3-way. And now it's too late to pick any of it up.
Didn't I say that last week?
You did.
You were like, oh, they're going to do all the shield stuff next week. And I was like,
I thought they would do a go-home angle.
No, they're not. Because Triple H invented the shield. That's canon now, not Punk.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe I was far too naive. But I thought, if you've got these 3 guys, At the very least, you're going to do a promo segment with the three of them with live mics and be like, what are they going to say?
Yeah.
And do some of that work shoot stuff. And they haven't done any work shoot stuff at all.
Yeah, I know. Remember that promo the night after Elimination Chamber, or 2 days after on Raw? And Punk just unleashed it was his best promo since coming back to WWE, down the barrel of the lens, and he's talking to Seth, he's talking to Cena, he's talking to Mr. Midlife Crisis, The Rock. Like, oh, if this is 6 weeks out from WrestleMania, I cannot wait for the Raw before. And yeah, they just haven't really delivered.
I said to Dave Bradshaw in the office today, I said, the build for WrestleMania has been both too long and I'm still waiting for it to start.
Well, let's see what you think. We were briefly live, so we've got some chats. Ben Vlaric says, I pray to all the gods above, all the demons and devils below. Anyone who has the power, please let this be, with the exception of Mania itself, be the final time we hear that goddamn annoying song and have Seth wear those ridiculous outfits. Please end it.
New Paul Heyman guy, Seth Rollins, pretty please, Hunter, do it. The man is terminally online anyway. You know we want it. We need it. He's awesome when he's serious. Just get rid of all the dumb extra crap, regardless of what happens. I'm praying.
I don't want Paul Heyman with Seth at all.
No.
I don't think that works.
And also with Seth standing tall on this episode of Raw, on the Go Home episode, means I would say he is now firmly the third favourite to win this triple threat match.
I'd say fourth behind Paul.
Yeah, maybe.
I've been saying forever that he needs to get rid of the music and the costumes. But recently, since January, I feel like he's been making it work. At least he's got a deeper aspect to his character.
Well, exactly, yeah. And, you know, they always said about the Attitude Era, the brilliance of it was your personality turned up to 11. And this is Seth Rollins' personality turned up to 11. He is the eccentric clothes, the sunglasses, the walk. I mean, yeah, I guess that's just how Rollins lives his life.
He never dressed like that before recently.
Maybe he's fallen into it now.
I always thought he's CrossFit Jesus. That's his thing.
Well, maybe CrossFit Jesus
dressing like a twat.
That's the next phase. If you're massively into CrossFit, this is the next phase of your life. Is you'd be like, oh, that's a nice blouse.
Avant-garde fashion, yeah. Italian Josh writes, hi lads, love the Raiders and New Day, but them on the WrestleMania card instead of the SmackDown tag belts, the best division by the way, is just criminal for me. Also, good Gunther segment, then Jay came on screen, said a lot of nothing, and yeah, I don't care again. Much love.
I think Raiders and New Day are on the WrestleMania card because Big E's getting involved. Ooh. That's the only reason I can give you as to why they're on the card, and as it currently stands, the SmackDown tag titles are not.
We'll get on to our Gunther J thoughts. Ripper3112 writes, I'm having a lot of non-wrestling fans coming over for WrestleMania Night 1. Question is, do I try to convince them that El Grande Americano is actually a luchador with a storied history like our hero El Generico? I miss him after that horrible orphanage fire. Well, yes. Or C.
Yes. You will struggle, though, because the commentary will be actively working against you. Because Michael Cole will be explaining to the audience at home that is not a storied history luchador. That's Chad Gable under a mask. So you might end up looking like a bit of a div if you're trying to tell your friends, no, that's a real, and here's a history of his matches.
Infinitely better, though, than sort of 2012 commentary. oh my God. You don't think it's Chad D?
What do you think was... I mean, obviously, I think that is worse. I have more of a hatred, though, having now rewatched WrestleMania 32 for 26, Michael Cole trying to tell me that everything is amazing.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Like when... are you kidding me? Is that Shawn Michaels on the stage? What a moment! I think that is a worse Michael Cole.
Well, he told me Bayley and Lyra Valkyria was match of the year last week, so... Yeah, I haven't forgotten. Roger writes, disappointed with the go-home angle for the Women World Heavyweight Championship. That match needed a heel or something extra. For example, Bianca sides with Naomi on Saturday. That would at least make me interested.
They didn't do a lot on this episode. But yeah, they haven't done a lot for a lot of the feud, in fairness.
But please stick around, because we're going to talk about that nothing in play-by-play order right now. So it's from Sacramento. They do a video recap of Gunther versus Jey Uso to open the show from last week. And then Gunther marches down to the ring And Michael Cole's like, well, I guess we're doing this now then. I thought, bitch, please. You just played the video promo to open the show. You always do that when the next thing is related to the video promo.
He was like, well, this was scheduled for later on, but I guess we'll do it now.
Well, then your running order's weird. Why did you just play the video? I'm nitpicking, it doesn't matter. It was a nice sort of way to show how annoyed Gunther is that he stormed out on seeing this video package. Gunther gets really loud heat, and he just says that screw Jay and all the people that stand with him. Doesn't matter how confident Jay is, he'll still put him down for the 4th consecutive time. Gunther has never lost control. He was in full control when he bathed in Jimmy's... I put bathed in Jimmy's mum. Ring general. Of course, Jimmy's blood, and he loved it. He can't wait to ring his mum next week and say how much he enjoyed beating Jimmy, and he's still the world heavyweight champion.
Yeah, and Michael Cole was like, it's the first time I've seen him scared. You know, I think something's up. Like, he feels rattled after Jay's promo last week, which really was the go-home angle for this feud. Yeah. Speaking of my naivety, and them going to bring up the Shield stuff, did they do that angle with Pat McAfee that you said they were going to do?
Oh, you asshole. Don't bring that up. That's a good idea. When Michael Cole got in, though, I thought, he's going to take out Michael Cole.
Would that have been a good angle?
Yeah. No, sorry, something would have happened. Imagine that, though. Cole gets in, Gunther's really angry, rips open, he's going to chop Cole, Pat McAfee gets in to save him, he takes out Pat McAfee instead.
And then Jay runs down, and he takes out Gunther, stands tall, and, like, you know, saves the commentary team and whatnot.
Because the follow-up to this was later on in the show. I'll skip ahead. Jey Uso comes out, has a prolonged entrance as always, and then
skip.
Then he has his entrance again on the commentary desk, so people can yeet.
I skip this, right? You know, I'm there pressing the right arrow key to skip forward 5 seconds, and then I saw him grab the mic, and I was like, okay, here's the promo. And then he smiled, and he was like, yeah, I guess we'll do it again. I was like, you prick.
Well, I thought you were annoyed. You weren't yeeting last week. And he wasn't really yeeting here. He was serious. He was no yeet. But he definitely encouraged everyone else to yeet. By the way, Meltzer had something that actually made me laugh. He said, if there's any way to stop making yeeting cool, it's to have Michael Cole yeet. That did make me chuckle.
Yeah,
but
it is quite lame.
He wasn't out of breath for the promo, and he just finally delivered promo, but it's essentially, I think Gunther's scared, I'm going to win, that's it.
Yeah, I've written in my notes here, I cannot believe that's the go-home angle.
So what you could have had is you could have had Jay Gunther brawl. I think Jay getting the better of the brawl. I know there's that school of thought where don't have them touch until the actual match at WrestleMania. That's how you sell it.
I think we're past that point.
They aren't big enough stars. I'm not as into their feud for that to be worth it. Like, that makes sense with Cody and John Cena. Of
course.
But not these two guys. I think, and then Jey Uso can stand tall. Gunther can then look scared backing off up the ramp after he's been beaten by Jey Uso after these 2 months of people saying you can't beat him, and Jey Uso's been slipping on banana peels. But nothing.
Yeah, I said it last week, but this is a story that has gone through about 4 different revisions. That, you know, we had the table draft, and then unfortunately, and then we got through a new writer came in, and they had a bit of a different spin on it. But there's still a story by credit from the original writer on this draft here, which when we get to the arbitration process, they might still get a story by credit in the final credits. But like it's.
Oh, has someone been researching Superman 4: A Quest for Peace? Story by Christopher Reeve.
Yep.
Written by.
But I think that this story has gone through various different stages. There was the people don't believe you. Even the commentary desk are a little bit unsure that you can pull this off. You're 0-3 against Gunther. There was the slip on a banana peel. I botched the dive the previous week, so now we're going to tie that into the storyline. And eventually, I think they just finally found the secret source to this, which was
Mums.
Bloodline. the bloodline. Like, we'll just beat up Jimmy, leave him a bloody mess, and it's end up with Gunther. Like, Derek of Rest things like really made me laugh because he was like, Gunther should win now because I'm finally getting the Gunther that I want now that I've finally seen him. Let's have more of this Gunther, please, because we haven't had any of that Gunther since he won the belt or in this feud apart from in this one moment. And since then, it's just been like I'm going to beat you now. And Gunther's like, all right, I guess that's what you're saying you're going to do. And I'm actually going to beat you, as it turns out. When Jay was leaving, I was like, I'm waiting for Gunther to show up and just attack this.
Yes.
I was like, I was there waiting, and I was stunned nothing came.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned for our WrestleMania 41 predictions tomorrow, where we have some spicy Jey Uso Gunther takes.
We said, listen to the we.
I think yours is more spicy.
What, that Jay wins?
No one wants that.
Actually, in my notes here, I cannot wait until the opening of night one so we can move past this feud.
Yeah, when Jay loses. We then got Bianca Belair having a video promo sort of filmed in a kind of unique-ish way where it's her addressing the camera, but there's clips and stuff. We get the same with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky later on. As soon as this Bianca promo was 30 seconds in, I was like, everyone's getting one.
Yeah,
right.
They're
not going to be on the show.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. I'll say here, I'll go into this more on the WrestleMania predictions tomorrow. Bianca Belair had the line in here that I think is going to tell us the finish to this coming Saturday's match, or Sunday's match, I believe it is. I have never been pinned at WrestleMania. I think that is their WrestleMania streak. So yeah, I'll leave it at that as a little hook and tease for my thoughts going into WrestleMania 41 predictions tomorrow.
Liv Morgan then took on Bayley. This is after the Bayley and Lyra Valkyria won the tag team gauntlet on SmackDown on Friday. So singles match here, and of course Bayley won because it's Liv Morgan, and it's a way to put over the challengers before the tag match of the pay-per-view.
I liked the finish a lot.
Tell us more.
So it's, it's the Judgment Day. So they interfere. Raquel Rodriguez is interfering. And, so Bayley has Liv beat with the Bayley to belly. So Raquel puts her foot on the ropes and then she and Lyra brawl. But Raquel decks Lyra and stands tall. And then she gets into the ring and Bayley takes her out. And you're like, oh, right. So that then sets up the finish for the Oblivion, and Liv Morgan cheats her way to victory yet again. Mm-hmm. But when she goes to hit the Oblivion, Lyra holds on to Bayley on the ropes, so Liv just falls backwards, and Bayley gets a technical pin and pins Liv Morgan.
Yeah, because Bayley's with Lyra now, and the only way they can win is with technical pins.
But they won by overcoming and working together as a team to overcome the Judgment Day's heelish ways. I thought it was a very good finish to set up them losing at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
In what has been quite a hastily thrown together. We had a chat last week that said it feels like a lot of the WrestleMania card has been thrown together, which I disagreed with because I was like, some of these have had like months-long build. But actually up and down the card, there is a lot of just like, oh, this was done last week and now it's a WrestleMania match.
We got Ripley's version of the video promo. Then we got Rey Mysterio versus Julius Creed. And I love Julius Creed. And I love Rey Mysterio now. But I'm like, this is the go-home episode of Raw. This is the best you can come up with. This is like what SmackDown would be in 2013.
SmackDown would be in 2013 if they'd already done this match on Raw.
Yeah. So it's all to build Rey versus El Grande Americano, of course. Both factions are down there early. They interfere. The referee sends them all to the back. It's a perfect setup for El Grande Americano to then come down. He tries to cost Rey the match. It backfires. Rey wins, but then Grande takes out Rey afterwards with the loaded mask and stands tall. And
they showed a replay of El Grande putting the metal plate in.
What was that all about?
To show you what happened.
Well, I could have figured that out.
Yeah, but you got to cater to the lowest common denominator. You got to explain to the morons who can't keep up this is what's happened. Even though the commentary was saying that's a loaded mask.
I know wrestling isn't famed for its subtlety, and I am pro spelling things out sometimes in it. I don't think they needed this shot. So El Grande Americano comes down, he does all that stuff, and then they show a shot of him backstage, face so close to the camera. Like, it wasn't he was tucked behind some production crates and the camera catches him. Oh, we're playing this footage we've just found. It's like, no, he's right there in Gorilla. Like, don't you have any footage of maybe the secret identity of El Grande Americano? I thought this was produced super weirdly.
I don't mind it. It's it gives Ray a win before he wins at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed the match. Bit sloppy at the start, but Julius is a big guy. Ray's a small flyer. That's a match made in my GM heaven. Then we got a video promo of the War Raiders. They're angry that the New Day tried to end their careers by targeting their necks. So WrestleMania won't be a fight. It'll be a war. And then it cuts back to Jackie Redmond talking to the New Day backstage. They're playing some video game thing. And they said they're ready for war. They're going to win the tag team titles and the fans will drop to their knees and say, thank God for the New Day. Which is a nice reference to their preacher character origins, I thought. That might be, I could see that being a bigger thing catchphrase-wise.
Yeah. 3 weeks we've built this feud. You had so much time.
Yeah, they turned heel in December.
You had so much time to set this match up, to give the War Raiders some wins, to give the New Day some other wins on TV. But in the end, you were just like, the New Day said, we want the tag titles. The War Raiders said, all right. And then they had a match and New Day intentionally got themselves DQ'd. And now it's WrestleMania.
Yeah. And wow, we were there for that angle where the New Day said, we want the tag titles. Do you remember? We were there in the building.
I know.
Wow. What a moment to be part of.
There for the start of this epic WrestleMania feud. Yeah. When they announced this, I was like, oh, this has got Raw after Mania or Raw before Mania written all over it.
Yeah.
Never did I think this was actually on WrestleMania, which is why I think Big E has to be involved.
So remember, I think it was like the day before Clash at the Castle in 2022, because I remember being in the pub for our watch party and watching SmackDown from the previous night, and it was that great Viking rules match that they had. So when they said this won't be a fight, it will be war. Maybe it will be a war rules stipulation.
I think it's too late to be adding steps to this. They'd have announced that on Raw.
But then we get the fun Viking ship next to it.
That's an old era of WWE.
One I mourn. AJ, that's technically Triple H had the book then.
Yeah, no, but we pretend that one. We don't include that one.
AJ, started last April. That's when
that's
the Paul
really
Levesque era
when the
began.
Paul Levesque era. Stephanie McMahon told me that.
Yeah. Then we got AJ Styles versus Karrion Kross. Again, this is the go-home episode of Raw. And I get that it's been subtly built up in a few segments.
They announced it the week before.
Yeah, but that works if there's other big things around it.
I will say, AJ came out for a match and he goes, ding, ding, ding. The following contest is scheduled for 1 to 4. Making his way to the ring, AJ Styles. So I'm writing my notes, AJ Styles versus, and I leave it blank because I don't know who he's facing. And then a graphic comes up with Karrion Kross. I'm like, oh yeah, they did say that last week, didn't they? Yeah, Karrion Kross. I should have remembered that.
You didn't think it was also AJ Styles?
No.
Because he's slowly turning into him.
Yeah, that's what Karrion does. He does his hair the same way as his opponents. I actually quite enjoyed this. It was, AJ being worked over a bunch. But I really liked Karrion Kross here.
Yeah, he had a few good moments where he feigned an ankle injury because AJ had an ankle injury.
And AJ was so concerned for him because he knows the pain that comes with an ankle injury like that.
And then Kross revealed, haha, it was a ruse, beats up AJ, and then does a little, fun ankle pose.
Yeah, and AJ got real mad. And I think that's what Karrion wanted because Karrion set up this storyline last week where AJ is defending pro wrestlers against celebrity YouTubers, which hasn't really been much of a factor of this storyline at all, but Karrion Kross is trying to make it one of it. So he's trying to fire AJ up to, you got to win this for us wrestlers. So when AJ went to hit the forearm, Karrion didn't even block it. He's like, no, I want you to hit me with this. I want you to get angry.
Yeah, he put his arms behind his back and everything. It's quite an interesting, it's a weirdly charismatic thing to do. And that's been Kross's big strength since in this most recent run on the main roster.
Where he's not been wrestling.
Yeah. I liked those spots. I think in general, I don't agree with AJ being worked over. Honestly, 90% of this match was Kross, and AJ's got the match at Mania this Sunday.
I do agree with that.
I don't who in their right mind booked this layout of match.
whichever agent was in. I can go to Fightful Select and find out if you'd like. If you want to target someone specifically.
I'm looking at you, Jason Jordan.
Who was it?
What the hell are you doing?
We'll find out who was the agent of this match. We'll not know that till tomorrow.
Also, by the way, there's a bit when they brawl at ringside. There is someone in the crowd near the front row dressed in a Prime bottle. And I saw him. I was like, there you go. Logan Paul.
It's KSI.
Yeah, someone's going to cause some YouTube interference. And then that never played into anything. And then Logan Paul comes out afterwards once AJ's won. He gets some hometown heat. He introduces his own hype video package. I'm like, but here's the Prime bottle. I've seen it already, and I can tell Luke that I spotted it mid-match. And then AJ goes to beat up Logan. Cross beats up AJ. Logan stands tall. And the segment ends. So there's a guy just dressed as a Prime bottle for the Bants in Las Vegas on WrestleMania weekend.
Sponsorship integration. Unless, of course, I wonder, maybe this has just hit me. It's going to be the third year in a row where they're going to reveal that one of his YouTube mates is in the Prime bottle. And this time it's Karrion Kross.
Oh, that's fun.
And Logan Paul's like, what?
And he beats up Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Or this is just a guy who thought it would be fun to dress as a Prime bottle.
Oh, okay. So
it's like the new wrestling cosplay.
Oh man. I mean, I'm sure that guy's perfectly nice. I'm not going for a drink with him.
Everyone, I think we've found Luke's next challenge punishment. You have to do a stream.
Drink Prime.
A stream dressed as a Prime bottle. You have to go to the next New Japan show in this country. And we'll get you ringside tickets just as a Prime.
Oh, I'd do it as well.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
We don't have the producers for that match, I'm afraid.
Okay, I'll put them on notice. But yeah, Logan came out. He stood tall. Yeah. We got a Did You Know graphic that said CM Punk will have the first Mania main event in his career. Then we got Stephanie's Places. She's with Steve Austin. They're in a dune buggy.
Yeah. So lovely and forced.
Then we got Jey Uso cutting his promo. Kathy interviewed Braun backstage, but Judgment Day attacked him. And then we went straight into Penta versus Finn Balor, which I was like, what a match. What a dream match on paper. Pentagon Jr. versus Finn Balor.
Mm-hmm. Got DQ written all over it.
Yeah, as soon as it started. Screams non-finish.
I was scrolling around. I was like, we haven't had one yet, have we? Nope, no, we haven't. This will be our DQ of the night then.
And I thought the action was good, but it's hard to get invested when you know this is going to be a DQ. They both hit sling blades one after the other, which was a nice bit. Penta does the arm sacrifice, but Dom and Carlito appear at ringside. They distract Penta. Braun's music hits, he runs down, Carlito runs away because he's got the PTSD from that crazy fast spear from last week. And Braun takes out Finn in the ring to cause a DQ. Then he hits a double spear on Carlito and Dom. And then Braun goes to spear Penta, but Penta fires back and dives on them all outside. Braun was holding his knee at the end of this. Apparently he's fine.
Yeah.
It looked a bit scary.
Yeah, Penta standing tall does not spell good news for him in regards to his winning the IC title at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. I think this is going to the Judgment Day. More likely it's going to Dominic Mysterio. And actually, if anything, he's standing tall, that might add more fuel to my Penta's getting pinned fire.
And then we got an EO Sky video promo. And that's it. That is the whole show. That is the whole go-home episode of Raw for WrestleMania 41.
Yeah.
Did we miss a segment?
No,
Did we skip past an hour by accident?
We even talked about the Stephanie's Places promo with Steve Austin, just to fill some time.
Well, before we finish the show, we'll do a big, wonderful thank you. Jesus.
It's been a day, mate.
Thank you. Shout out to our PledgeHammers on Patreon. Go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk right now, where you can enjoy the full experience of our 8-episode long, I think about 35 hours I worked it out as, retrospective series on The Rock versus John Cena.
With a bonus edition episode at the end, exclusively for our Patreon backers, where Ollie and I struggle to rewatch WrestleMania 32, which is so long. Oh, by the way, if you've seen that Peacock have blocked out for WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2, 9 hours each.
What? So that's like a 3-hour pre-show?
Yes, with the pre-show, the main show, and the post-show.
3-hour pre-show, 2-hour post-show, that's 5 hours. 4 hours they've blocked out. Makes sense.
Yeah. You think it's a 3-hour pre-show?
I think I know it's a 3-hour pre-show. I think I read the start time.
What the fuck can they do for 3 hours?
Video packages.
But there's not that many matches.
Yeah,
3
but,
hours.
You know, Booker T's going to say some nonsense.
It's an episode of SmackDown. And they can't fill that. and that's got matches.
Stand and Deliver is starting at 10 a.m. for the 3-hour pre-show.
That's nonsense.
I think I'm getting that right. Anyway, thank you to Johnny Trash Flowers Sharp.
On top of the world and the top rope, David Sansone.
Going. David Vaughan.
Dr. Hook, Nolan Evans.
Always shining Garrett Albright.
Hannah A, baby.
Geordie Bus Driver, Harry.
Ruler of the House of Cards, Jack Avery King.
WrestleTalk's personal problem solver, Jamie Donovan.
John Jenkinson, son of Jenker.
The heir to the throne, Kate Ayers.
And lastly, for this Hall of Fame class, on the 15th of April 2025, King of the Casino Gauntlet, Kira Soltari.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for watching this pre-recorded episode of the show. It's weird, isn't it? Feel like usually we do a live send-off.
Yeah, we do have the poll up to find out what people thought of this.
Oh, I gave it like 67%, which is one of the lowest I've given Raw. Because of the expectations, you should put out a bigger show for the Go Home episode.
Yeah, it felt like a conserving stamina episode of Monday Night Raw. But yeah, it's like it was fine. It's totally fine.
Is that good enough, though?
Oh, not for a go-home episode of Monday Night Raw, no. I will say that non-fan Alex in the office, who's only just started watching in the Netflix era, was not impressed. And feels that this has not been very exciting heading into WrestleMania.
Well, when's he telling lies? Is that what he says? Is that what Roderick Strong says?
Where
is the lie? Where is the lie?
You were thinking of
Strong.
CM Punk's
Yes.
Tell Me When I'm Telling Lies.
Which is fun because Bobby Fish and CM Punk had that kind of awkward.
Yeah, all right. So I got
match
Bobby
finish.
Fish and Roderick Strong mixed up on two separate... I've been saying Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish as a tag team since the early 2010s. I'm just used to saying their names together.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk, where you can watch all of the uncensored versions of WrestleTalk Extra, the Rock vs. Cena series, along with the bonus episodes. There's 4 of them, and that's like 16 hours in total. But for now, I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke going DAD. Jam that jam. We'll see you for WrestleMania.